Hey, what's up guys, Little Luigi here, welcome to STeller episode 2.1. I forgot to show the fan arts that were made, so let's see them. First we got CG3K's fan art of me giving a little Luigi point to him, and he made another fan art of the new STeller season including some STeller contestants in the background. We also have a third fan art from CG3K showing the amazing fan art wall for season 2. And lastly, Angel Assassins gave fan art of the round 1 story showing Jack's pun morphed into another pun. Now it only took 17.85 days for you all to submit, which means it took you all an average of 0.69 days or 16.5 hours to submit. Now too many of you took longer than a day and some longer than 2 days, so I decided to be stricter with the deadline and shorten it to 1.5 days. In case you forgot, when you receive the message from Spaghetti Luigi, you should immediately start thinking about your sentence and not procrastinate. Anyways, this round 4 people will die and 4 people will apply since we have 26 contestants and 15% of 26 is 3.9. If you die this round, don't cry because you can be revived later on. If you got a prize last round, don't forget you only have 3 rounds to use it. So our 26 STeller contestants made a giant story with 26 sentences because the event for this round was Mega Story. If you forgot how to vote, here's how. Contestants DM the Spaghetti Luigi account on Discord their vote, but viewers comment down their vote. To vote, rank the sentences by their labels by putting the best on the left and the worst on the right. Make sure I know what votes are for which stories by labeling them like this. Thank you. Voters should vote up sentences that are funny, add something interesting, add to the plot, or improve the story in some other way. They should vote down wrote-on sentences, sentences that derail the story too much, and sentences that don't have continuity. Now here's the story for round 2. George, it's not what it looks like, I told my friend after he accidentally walked in on me. I desperately fumbled the remote and changed channels from Teen Titans Go, but to my immediate horror, the next channel added an extra layer of guilt to the situation. It felt like hours that I changed from channel to channel, embarrassing myself more every click. Suddenly, George grabbed away the remote, leaving the TV on channel 50, which at first appeared to be showing a relatively innocent nature documentary. It was a documentary on the nomadic lifestyle of Native Americans thousands of years ago, which was fine until it cut to an uncensored scene of hunters murdering their screaming prey for lunch. George was a vegan and had lived in an echo chamber his entire life, so when he saw the hunters disemboweling the majestic beast, he had a vegan screech attack. I recoiled in terror as the shriek pierced the windows, lights, and TV all at once, causing a hail of glass shards to rain down upon us, with one luckily landing in George's deafening open gullet. Furiously bleeding through his mouth, George was still able to shout, "If you like eating animals so much, I'm sure you wouldn't mind if I went ahead and ate you for a change." I suddenly stopped in confusion, stared at him and said, "Dude, you forgot to say no homo." "So what if I'm homo?" George replied, still bleeding. "Can I not be vegan and homo at the same time?" And then George walked over to me with malicious intent. I saw fury in his eyes. I haven't seen him this mad since he realized turkey bacon had turkey in it. George whipped out a long snake whip, not made with snakes by the way, and I pulled out my secret crab rangoon in defense, which actually contained crab and not cream cheese, but he didn't know that. George uttered a terrifying battle cry, so I seized a moment to toss the rangoon directly in his mouth. He swallowed it and suddenly stopped. If he wasn't vegan anymore, then who was he? It didn't matter who he was, rather what the actual heck had happened. As he put his snake whip, not made out of snakes, down, he realized he was still bleeding from eating half a glass of pain and a whole gosh dang rangoon. After the threat was partially neutralized, I began the medical emergency protocol my neighbors and I had agreed on, shouting "Code Black" and quickly retrieving my first aid kit from my cabinet. I took out some professional looking tweezers, extracted the glass and rangoon from his throat, and then proceeded to eat the rangoon. I then continued to patch up George with my first aid kit for a time, but George decided to reveal to me that he didn't think he should be alive anymore. I let my temper get the better of me and tried to eat your flesh, despite knowing that such an evil would have spit in the face of my vegan beliefs. George lamented, wiping tears from his eyes. George's apology was interrupted when the partially destroyed TV cut to an advertisement from the Church of Veganism. The sheer coincidence of the advertisement's timing seemed to make an impression on him, and I could see in his eyes that he was deeply reflecting on what had just happened. The advertisement told you can recover your vegan side and you will always be vegan and don't give up if you eat meat a little bit. George was filled with determination. All of a sudden, the TV switched to a new advertisement, but this one was a very unsettling one, because it was full of monsters in the dark. George, who once had determination flaming through his eyes, is now full of terror as the monster Flo, the progressive lady, emerged from the dark and said one of the most disturbing things I have ever heard. The words, "You know what happens if you eat meat," emerged from her mouth, and George hardly had time to react as the channel turned to static, leaving them alone in the dark. Still shaken from all that had happened, George uttered, "Want to get a veggie burger?" And also visibly shaken up, I responded, "Yeah, that sounds good." And that was the story. It was very long and very interesting, but you only have to vote on 15 or more sentences. You don't have to vote on all 26, but please vote on all 26 so I can get the most accurate results ever. You have until March 13th, midnight CST, to vote on these sentences, and I'll see you later. Bye!